Welcome. Imagine a future where, humanity finally gets everything it ever wanted, this sort of ultimate power control over life itself.
Okay.
But Harari asks, what if achieving that dream means we accidentally erase what makes us human?
Ah, yeah. That's a big question.
That's really the core paradox we're diving into here, this crisis of modernity and how this relentless chase for power might be, well, eroding things we really value, meaning freedom, individuality.
And we're doing this by looking closely at the ideas of Yuval Noah Harari, especially from his book, Homo Deus. It's pretty challenging stuff.
Exactly. He offers a really sharp, sometimes uncomfortable perspective. And in this part, we're focusing on his view about the potential, maybe even the collapse, of systems like liberalism that have, for a long time, defined human purpose, especially facing new technology.
Right. So let's start with that basic tension he points out. Modernity came with this huge promise, didn't it? Reason, science, progress,
Mm.
leading to more freedom, maybe new kinds of meaning.
Yeah, progress equals human flourishing. That was the idea. But Harari looks at where we're heading and sees this deep paradox. As Homo sapiens get more and more power, particularly tech power,
Mm.
it seems we're more willing to trade away that search for meaning. There's this line, giving up meaning for power. It feels like modernity's kind of hidden motto.
And you can see how he thinks that plays out, right?
Yeah.
A world driven less by our own consciousness or ideals and more by, well, by algorithms, just optimizing things. It's a fundamental shift.
Okay, and this is where Harari gets really unsettling in Homo Deus. He suggests that even systems we think are fundamental, designed to protect individual freedom like liberalism, might just become obsolete.
Yeah, because technology is changing the game.
Yeah.
Harari sees this new order emerging where algorithms, data systems, they can understand individuals
Yeah.
better than we understand ourselves.
Right.
It's not like old-fashioned Big Brother watching you. It's
Yeah.
more like it predicts you from the inside out.
And his conclusion is pretty blunt. When a system knows you better than you know yourself, liberalism is obsolete. That cuts right to the heart of individual choice, doesn't it? The whole basis of it.
So if liberalism fades, what takes its place? Harari doesn't suggest chaos, interestingly. He talks about something he calls systemic hyperlogic. Dataism.
Dataism sounds less like politics, more like...
Like an operating system? Exactly. A world run purely on the logic of data flow, optimizing for efficiency.
So what happens to the individual person in that kind of world?
Well, in that framework, what the system values is what it can measure. Things that can't be easily quantified, your feelings, subjective experience, consciousness.
Some messy human stuff.
Right. That stuff starts to lose relevance. The individual self, with all its unique, unmeasurable qualities, it isn't necessarily attacked violently. It's more like it gets dissolved, or maybe just bypassed, made irrelevant.
Bypass through irrelevance. Wow.
Yeah. You're not controlled. You're just optimized around. Your input isn't needed if the algorithm has a better prediction based on the collective data.
So the whole way we think about what matters, the sort of grammar of our civilization, it changes completely.
Absolutely. Meaning, which we usually find in stories, in consciousness, in narratives, that gets pushed aside, potentially, replaced by raw processing power. Our human need for stories gets kind of suppressed by the statistical need for prediction.
What's so striking, maybe even tragic, about Harari's argument in Homo Deus is he's not necessarily saying this is some horrible failure.
No, it's almost the opposite. He suggests humanity's oldest dreams, getting total control, beating death, becoming like God. These might actually be within reach now, thanks to tech and data.
And the tragedy he sees is in that very success. In becoming these masters, these powerful beings, we might just lose the very things that search for meaning, maybe that spark of real individuality that we thought we were trying to elevate all along.
Yeah, the cost of getting everything is losing ourselves.
It really leaves you thinking. This part of our deep dive into Harari definitely highlights that tension. Our powerful drive for control, boosted by tech, could lead to a world where the individual matters less, where meaning gets lost in the noise of data processing.
And it forces you to ask, if your desires can be predicted, if you can be bypassed by algorithms, what happens to that very human search for freedom, for meaning? Something to definitely mull over.